Hi everyone, welcome back to another Sunday, another week down. Week 2 of my training is complete. Overall, very satisfied with this week. As you can see, we've got a mountain of greens there. No reds. Reds means I didn't do it, so I completed everything. There's a number of whites. Whites are activities that I add manually that are not part of the plan. As I mentioned previously, my swimming is all done manually because I don't use Training Peaks for swimming. I did miss a swimming effort this week. We'll get into that later. I did have another video planned for this week where I was making some changes to my gravel bike wheels, but I made a total mess of them and the video ended up being a waste. I had to take it down to the bike store and cost me $40 to get it repaired. But that's another story for another day. Looking at the week, started off very good endurance run, 21.7 kilometers, very much to the book. It's just stay in zone 2 and run. I actually negative split this run. So what I do is I crossed the Ben Franklin Bridge again, came back, and I think I had 40 minutes to go from my house. So it's 20 minutes out, 20 minutes back, but I got back 3 minutes faster than I went out, so that was pretty good. The lap swimming was 3,400 yards in the afternoon. So what I do with that is keep it to about 400 blocks, I think it was, and throw in some drills at the start, just to kind of unwind. It's more of like a recovery swim. On to Tuesday. Tuesday was the easy spin out on Zwift. As you can see, my average pace, 29.3 kilometers. That's well down on my pace. My Ironman pace is about 32 to 33, so that's just spinning the legs. And I also did my strength, which, as if you watched last week, that was my commitment this week, was to get the strength done. On to Wednesday, 5,200 yards in the pool was the target this week, which I managed to do. It's showing up here as in meters, 4,755. I don't know where that 5 comes from. Garmin's been playing up a little bit, but that included 3 800 sets. So what I try and do with my swims, particularly like that, is I do the 50s. So I do, say, 8 times 50 as a recovery. So the 25 is a sprint, and then coming back is that Ironman pace. So 25 sprint, 25 Ironman pace, 5-second recovery, and do that 8 times before I do another 800. And so what my goal is to come up with a time for the 800 and then time those 800 blocks over each lap, if that makes sense. So I'm fatiguing myself at each time, and so the goal in the end is to try and get the times as close as I possibly can. So if we look at the distances, the first effort was 14 minutes and 31 seconds for the 800. Second effort, 14:46. So I only dropped 15 seconds over an 800, fatiguing myself. And the final set was 15:06. So I drop a further 20 seconds. So the first gap's 15, the second gap's 20. That's kind of a performance indicator for me, is because I'm training for longer distance swims, I try and fatigue myself in between these efforts to see how well I can perform when fatigued. On to Thursday. This was the big target for the week because I failed miserably on the bike. The goal was 4-hour bike ride with 4 times 10 minutes at threshold. Last week, if you recall, I failed miserably. This week, I absolutely crushed it. I was really happy with that. The 4 sets got smashed very easily, 133 kilometers in the end. As you can see, I did take a little break for about 2 minutes after the 4 were finished in order to refill bottles and stuff, and then I just cruised home for the last 1.5 hours. That was it for Wednesday. On to Thursday was my brick session, 2 hours 45 on the bike, ended up doing 91 kilometers, and then an easy run on the treadmill. I actually planned to go outside, but a heavy shower came in, so I couldn't be bothered, so I jumped on the treadmill and got it done. And as you can see at the bottom, another strength session. That one was kind of a challenge, as you'll see. So that was a pretty tough strength session. Sorry, not really weights. I only used a 35-pound kettlebell, but it's quite tough doing 15 squats after you've just spent hours and hours on the bike and the run. But that's the end of the day, 5.5 hour day. I feel pretty good, and as much as I hate strength and I've neglected it grossly over the years, I really have to admit I always seem to feel much better, and I think my running and cycling feels a lot better after I've done strength. But for now, it's 3 o'clock, so I've got to have a quick shower and go and pick up the girls. On to Saturday, and it was the usual with the penny pack trail runners. The goal here is thresholds, so threshold run effort. So if you look at my heart rate data here, you can see that I am actually putting in some pretty good efforts. Like I can push that heart rate higher, but I'm running off a group, so I can't exactly tear off at the front of the group and leave everyone behind. But having said that, my I turned up after those two Thursdays and Fridays. I think it was almost, what was it, 12 hours of training over those days. Turned up on Saturday, and I think in the first mile or two I was absolutely gassed. I thought, God, how am I going to get through this? But I slowly built into it, and I think they pushed me to a pretty good threshold session. Like I think I was fatigued, so I didn't think I had much more into that. Then Saturday night was my daughter's school had their gala ball, and that I got back from the gala ball at about into bed about 11:30, 12. So I had to cancel my swim for the morning. I thought a bit of sleep, a decent sleep, was better than an early swim. And I did the speed workout in the afternoon, 35 times 40 seconds at threshold with a 20-second recovery. And I do this I do threshold bike efforts at a low cadence. So you might see little dips in each of the thresholds efforts. That's not because I struggled to hold the power. That's because I started to spin too fast. So I try and slow down, and my power drops. And so I got to get back up again. But I generally aim to keep my cadence under 60 and spin above about 310 watts, which I think I did a pretty good job of doing that. Finished the Sunday. I watched the PTO Singapore race. A brilliant race. Great performance from Sam Long, and obviously the winner Yuri Kulin. And so that was the week. You can see a flood of green, a touch over 17 hours of training, which is about where I wanted to be. It would have been 18 with the swim today that I missed, but TSS of 894. That's going to be about 1,000 by the time I get into my rhythm. But looking at next week, this is kind of an off week, so it's 3 weeks on, 1 week off, and this is the 1 week off. So tomorrow, Monday, 2 hours 15 on the run. Tuesday is just a strength session. I do have my bike that I add manually, but I'm actually suffering from really bad saddle sores again, so I'm tempted to switch that out and make it either an easy run or a swim again. I'm tempted to go for the run because I'm a bit less than a month away from the Dirty German 50k Ultra. It's a trail run, so I do want to add an extra run sometime, and I think this is the week I'm going to start doing that. Wednesday I have to manually add, that'll be 5,000 yards in the pool again. Thursday, strength again, and then you can see the long ride, 4 hours 15. This week only has one threshold effort. It's hold threshold for 40 minutes, so that's going to be a challenge. The usual 2 hour 45 or 45 off on the brick on Friday. As you can see, Saturday is a recovery day, so no interval session run this week because it's on Sunday. Sunday I have a threshold test for the run. So what I probably will end up doing is just going for the trail running and then running again. So I have to work it out, because the problem with doing it would be 3 days running in a row. And if you follow my videos, I don't like to run 3 days in a row. 2 days is my limit, 2 days on, 1 day off. So I'll work that out towards the end of the week. So that's the end of the week for me. I have to admit, I've never been a fan of strength training, but I'm feeling fantastic physically. And I think my fatigue from Ultraman is pretty much going now. So I feel like I've recovered very well from this training week. I'm ready to go tomorrow for the 2 hour 15. So I'm going to stick with the strength training. I also did a Pilates session. I call it Pilates, but it's just stretching and rolling, just to get the muscles worked out for the week. So hopefully, if you liked it, hit the like and subscribe, and come back next week and see how I go in my off week. Thanks for watching.